At the start of the season, I made my championship 1 to 24 predictions. Today, at the end of the season, I'm going to be reacting to them, see which ones I got fairly good and which ones I don't want to talk about ever again after the end of this video. Hello everyone and welcome back to Goals Galore, and welcome to me reacting to my championship 1 to 24 predictions for the 2023-24 season. Let's get straight into it. If you do enjoy, smash the like button and subscribe. And if you made predictions at the start of the season, let me know your best and worst predictions in the comment section down below. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's start 24th position. Rotherham United, I predicted to finish there, and it was indeed the Mellors. Of course, losing Wes Harding and Cesar Gbene really did make my mind up as well. And towards the back end of last season, they weren't great, and it was a really underwhelming season from the Mellors in the end. Of course, only ending on 27 points, and I've got this one bang on. And hopefully, though, for next season, the Millers can bounce back in League One, of course, under Steve Evans. And of course, they've already been very busy in the transfer window. So fingers crossed for the Millers, they can make a quick return back to the Championship. But for this season, I got 1 out of 1 so far. Very happy with that one. 23rd, I did put Sheffield Wednesday, and for much of the season, I looked like I was going to get this one right and correct. Of course, they took ages to get a few points on the board, and when Danny Röhl entered the job, it was a mountain to climb for Sheffield Wednesday, but somehow he pulled off the unthinkable, and they survived in 20th in the league in the end. Of course, that run of form at the end of the season was remarkable, and credit to Danny Röhl for an incredible job. Definitely has to go down as one of the best relegation escapes in the Championship of all time, to be honest. It wasn't quite last day, last ditch to against all the odds, but it was great that they got themselves in that position after an awful start to the season. So in this one, I was 3 off, but I'll definitely take that. And fair play to Sheffield Wednesday. Great club, great fan base. I'm very happy to see them in a Championship for next season. 22nd place, I put Plymouth Argyle, and they finished 21st, so only 1 point off on this one. Very happy with this one. Yet again, a great prediction by myself, if I do say so. Of course, Steven Schumacher coming into it. Of course, the side that just won League One, they signed the likes of Ballymumba and Morgan Whittaker for very low amounts of money, and they were 2 brilliant players throughout the season. Of course, Morgan Whittaker in the end had an incredible goal and assist tally. But going into next season now, they've got Wayne Rooney. I do think they'll be in a very similar position, but this year, Plymouth at home, that's where they got a lot of their points and really did make the difference. Away from home, it took them ages to get their first win. I do think it was against my side, Swansea, in February, where they got their first away victory of the season. But yeah, only 1 out on this one. Very happy. But next season now, what can Plymouth do? They'll be in the Championship again. Great fan base, and cannot wait to see what they can do. But with the appointment of Wayne Rooney, it doesn't look to be going too well so far. In 21st at the start of the season, I had QPR, and for much of the season as well, this looked like it was going to be a very close prediction. And in the end, of course, QPR ended up finishing 18th under Martí Cifuentes. An incredible job yet again, just like Danny Röhl at Sheffield Wednesday. Martí Cifuentes did a great job at QPR. For much of the season, they were in the bottom 3, and then since the turn of the calendar year, it was QPR every week, jumping the dotted line. And then towards the end of the season, it looked like they were going to be safe, and probably could have finished a little bit higher. They did drop a few points towards the end of the season, but a great run from QPR, and surviving yet again on this one. Only 3 out yet again. I'll take that. For me, on these predictions, I'd say if it's under 5, it's a good prediction. If it's over 5, if it's 5 or above, it's not a great prediction. So far, so good on the predictions, and all of them, I'd say, in my opinion, good predictions. And can't wait to see how QPR get on next season. I really do think they could really push up the table quite a lot next year under Martí Cifuentes. In 20th, I put Huddersfield Town. Of course, they did end up getting relegated in 23rd place, and it's a hard one to predict Huddersfield because they always, since they've been relegated from the Premier League, they've always been down there. They had that one season under Carlos Corberán when they made the playoffs, of course, but apart from that, they've always been down there in the Championship. And last season, of course, saved by Neil Warnock. I thought maybe the same would happen this year. Of course, new owners in the summer as well. It was really hard to predict Huddersfield, But in the end, only 3 off again. I'll take that one all day long. But Huddersfield next year in League One, time for a rebuild, and it was going to happen sooner rather than later. And in hindsight, could be probably the best thing that could have happened to the club, to really get the deadwood out and, you know, push reset at Huddersfield Town. But it wasn't a great season, and in the end, you could say that there wasn't 3 better sides to them this season to you know, make Huddersfield survive. So in this one, very happy. Huddersfield going down. But great prediction by myself, if I do say so yet again. But this is where things turn sour. 19th, I put Preston North End. I don't know what it was. Start the season, I just thought they would slip down the table. They were always mid-table, but this is the first of the really bad predictions. Of course, Preston ended up finishing 10th. They were on course potentially for a late playoff charge. They started the season really well under Ryan Lowe as well, which is quite surprising. They did sort of dip off around the festive period, and I did think Ryan Lowe was going to get sacked, but towards the end of the season then, they went on a really good run. And going into next year, I don't really know what to think of Preston, because of course it looks, you know, on paper like they're going to finish mid-table again, but for me, you know, Ryan Lowe's been at Preston for a few years now. I think next year, pressure's starting to build on him now. He has to deliver something, or Preston may make a switch. You know, you'll have to see the club's ambition. If they make a switch and go to a higher profile manager, potentially wanting, you know, to speed up the process of getting back to the Premier League. But for me, in this one, Preston wasn't a good prediction, and 9 places out on this one wasn't good at all. In 18th, this is my worst one out of the lot. Ipswich Town. After just coming up from League One, and I didn't watch much of them in League One, which is probably why I got this one so wrong. At the start of the season, I seen everyone predicting Ipswich high, and I thought they're just going to do that for the attention, but no, fair play. Fair play, everyone that put Ipswich as high up as they did. And you know what? It serves me right for not backing them. Great season. Looked incredible. And, you know, second best team in the Championship this season. That's why they finished second. So on this one, 16 places off, which at the end, when we do our score, this really is going to affect it. That's not good at all. Ipswich fans, I hold my hands up. I'm sorry. And next season in the Premier League, I'm going to back you to do well, depending on how you do in the transfer window, of course. Kieran McKenna already signing a new contract. Great news for the Tractor Boys. But this season, I got it all wrong. I thought 18th would have been a great season for the Tractor Boys, considering how competitive and close all these teams in the Championship were this season. But I didn't think Ipswich would do as well as they did, and fair play to them. And I've been proven wrong, which we love to see. Moving on from a bad prediction to a bad team. Cardiff City next in 17th. And this wasn't an awful prediction. Of course, they did finish in the top half, 12th, just about midway through. And to be honest, that really does sum up Cardiff's season. Errol Bullock did a great job, and it's still unseen if he'll stay there next season at the Bluebirds, of course. But he did a good job considering where Cardiff were when he started the season, and off the back end of last year with Sabri Lamucci, of course. But Cardiff, I'm 5 out on this one, and I'm not too disappointed, because at the start of the season, a lot of fans of neutral clubs as well, when they did their predictions, they put Cardiff a lot lower. So being a Swansea fan as well, putting Cardiff a lot higher than neutral fans, you know, I'll take the credit for that one on my ball knowledge. But nah, that one, a decent prediction, I'd say. I said under 5's good, but come on, when it's Cardiff, really hard to predict, especially this season. So I'll take that one. 16th place at the start of the season, I predicted Blackburn Rovers, and they ended up finishing 19th. Every year I feel like I look at Blackburn and I think, yeah, they're going to finish in a low position. And this year I was actually right. Well, almost right. 3 out on the prediction. But I was right in terms that they weren't going to have a good season like they have in the past few years, of course. John Dale Thomason departing, and in the end ending the season with John Eustace, of course. In this season, though, for Blackburn, it wasn't great at all. Of course, the only positive really is Sammy Smojic and the money they got from Sam Wharton, really, and surviving. But yeah, season to forget for Blackburn. But a prediction to remember. Very good prediction. I'm very happy with that one. In 15th, I put Hull City at the start of the season. And this was sort of one that could have gone 2 ways, and it went the opposite of my way. Of course, Hull finished 7th, and they were pushing for the playoffs right until the final day. Had a great campaign, a lot of ambition shown by the owners. We've seen that as well with sacking Liam Rosenior for not getting into the playoffs, and appointing Tim Walter, of course, a manager who I'm not too knowledgeable on, so I will have to do my research over the summer. But Hull finishing, of course, 7th was a great achievement. The owners showed their ambition on the field as well with the signings they were making as well, which is awesome. The likes of Fabio Carvalho as well. Apparently they're in for a permanent deal for Liam Delap next summer as well. Hull, I'm sorry, but at the start of the season, a lot of people were putting Hull mid-table. I probably should have gone a bit higher. And, you know, looking back now, definitely should have gone a bit higher. But, you know, start of the season, 15th, I don't think that's too harsh on them, considering some of the sides that did finish that low down in the Championship this season. The Hull fans are improved for next season. I was 8 out on that one, and I was 8 out on this one. Birmingham City, they finished 14th, of course, in my predictions, but in real life, they did finish 22nd, so 8 out on this one yet again. What happened to the Blues? What happened, of course, new owners, just like Huddersfield Town, but these owners really did invest, and heavily as well. The signs of Ethan Laird I thought was awesome. Signing a calibre player where they were, you know, championship players. You know, they were quality championship players, not just, you know, lower end championship players. They were, you know, quality players. And I don't know, looking back, how they've struggled that much. Wayne Rooney obviously isn't to help for they're going down this season, but you know, this year I thought Birmingham were going to start to climb the table. The last few years they really have been disappointing in the Championship, and this year yet again, next year in League One for their rebuild. But you know, I'm really confused how this happened. You know, started the season with John Eustace in the top 6, then he gets sacked. I don't know the thinking of the board there, and it just shows big names don't always deliver big things. In this one, I don't know where it went wrong for Birmingham. Such a positive transfer window. Everyone thought, okay, this is going to be the start of Birmingham starting to climb the league, and no, they go and get relegated. You couldn't predict it, could you? I didn't. 13th place, I predicted at the start of the season, Watford. And it was a crazy season, wasn't it? Valérien Ismaël almost stayed for the whole season. In the end, they had to sack him. Typical Watford. Tom Cleverley, in the end, now taking charge, ready for next season. And for Watford, 13th, I predicted them. They finished 15th. It wasn't a good season for them. They were up and down, never really in the playoffs, always in that mid-table zone. And in the end, now going into next season, be interesting to see where Watford finish, because they're one of the clubs where we look at, we always expect them to be at the top end of the Championship, lower end of the Premier League. So for them to slip off this badly, next season to be huge to see if they can jump back up, or if it will start to become a mid-table Championship side. This prediction, only 2 off, very happy with it. I'll take that all day long, because at the start of the season, people were predicting Watford absolutely everywhere in the Championship. So I'm very happy with my prediction. Mid-table for Watford. Moving on into the top half then, starting off in 12th, I had Stoke City, and I knew I was wrong the moment I uploaded the video, and I had Stoke in 12th. They never do well when you expect it, do they? You know, in the January transfer window, the summer transfer window even, Mark Travers was signed. He later got recalled after, I think it was 1 or 2 games, but the hype around Stoke at the start of the season was incredible. A squad, a lot of investment into the squad as well, and it quickly went downhill, didn't it? Of course, ending in the end 17th towards the end of the season, had fears of relegation, but in the end, only 5 off. You know, it's not awful, it's just not great at the same time. So Stoke, this one could have been a lot worse. It's not. I'll take it. Only 5 in the end, considering how poor of a season it was for Stoke. But next season under Steven Schumacher, the expectations are going to rise for Stoke. But they always seem to finish lower half of the Championship. Next season, they have to be pushing for mid-table and looking to get into the top half of the Championship. So this prediction, not awful, but these points are starting to add up to a higher score. Into 11th place, I predicted Bristol City. Guess who finished there? Bristol City, the second spot-on prediction of the video. I'm very happy with this one. I'm very happy with Bristol City as a whole as well, because, you know, they really are starting to progress. Of course, Liam Manning ended up coming in around Christmas time, wasn't it? he got appointed as Bristol City manager. And looking into next season, I really do think this group of players, with a few additions here and there, could really push for the top 6. And they are sort of my dark horse next year for the playoffs, Bristol City. A great squad they're building there. Very young, hungry players coming through the academy as well, like Sam Bell. The likes of them look really good. But getting this one spot on, couldn't be happier. Well done, Bristol City, for proving me right there. Great prediction by myself. And next season, I think Bristol City will be charging towards the playoffs. Into 10th place then at the start of the season, I predicted the Baggies, West Bromwich Albion, to finish there. And in the end, under Carlos Corberán, they had an incredible season and finished 5th. On this one, I did sort of go with the crowd. A lot of people at the start of the season were predicting West Brom to finish outside the playoffs, where, you know, I was making the argument to a few fans before the season started that, you know, Carlos Corberán is a great manager at Championship level. He proved it with an average Huddersfield Town side to get them to the playoff final. And I really should have stuck by my guns on this one. But, you know, only 5 out. It's not the worst prediction. At least I put them in the top half, I guess. So, decent prediction. 5 out, though. We're not classing it as that good of a prediction. It could have been better if I stuck to my guns. That's why you stick to your opinions, people. Hard lesson taken there. And in the end, great season for West Brom. Just couldn't quite get past Southampton in the playoff semi-final to go up to the Premier League. But next season, I think there's real ambition there, West Brom, to go again in the playoffs. I don't see them challenging the top 2. I think they'll be there again in the playoffs potentially. And hopefully, for their sake, going back up to the Premier League. 9th place, I went for my team Swans, and I think since we've come down, I do believe that was the first season I predicted Swans not to finish in the playoffs. It hurt a bit. Of course, we ended up finishing 14th. It was our worst season since relegation, and we were challenging the bottom end of the Championship for a lot of this season. It was an awful season, and I can't wait to go on for the next one. But of course, as a supporter, you've got to be there through the highs and the lows. And when you get to the highs, after experiencing the lows, it feels so much more rewarding, and it feels even better and even sweeter when you get victory then, after supporting through all the tough times, of course. And that's what supporters are there for. On this one, in the end, only 5 out, and I'm, you know, what could have been a lot worse. So I'm not too disappointed in this prediction. Little biased from myself. But next season, dare I say it, I genuinely do think we will be up there. The last summer was really tricky because, of course, Russell Martin was leaving, and I really wanted him to stay. And I think if he did stay, I genuinely really do think we would have been where Southampton are now, getting promoted. I truly believe that we would have been winning the playoffs this season if we had Russell Martin. What could have been, eh? But no, in this one, next season now, we've got to push on, and we have to be challenging for the top 6, at least challenging for it. If we don't actually make it, I'm confident. But in this one, 9th place predicted, finishing 14th. Next season has to improve. And I think Luke Williams and everyone at Swansea City knows that. Overall, for my prediction, not too bad, considering my bias towards the Swans as well. In 8th place, this is a really bad prediction looking back on it now. It's Sunderland I predicted there. They finished 16th. And we've had a lot of small numbers, but 8 is quite big for predictions in a Championship, and this is not a good prediction at all. After last season's playoff finish, of course, Sunderland, I thought they were going to build on it, but it just all went wrong, didn't it? Sacking, of course, Tony Mowbray around Christmas time, and then appointing Michael Beale didn't end well at all. It lasted, I think it was like 65 days, something crazy like that. A very short tenure around January, and then, of course, in the end, the season couldn't get closed off and quick enough for Sunderland. Into next season, there's real potential at Sunderland because the owners really do care, and there's a good, young, hungry group of players there. So for Sunderland next season, I really can see them just going straight back up to the top half, but a lot of work to do there at Sunderland. So not a great prediction from me, but Sunderland, not a great season from them either. In 7th place, we're moving now from a really bad prediction to a really good one. I was 1 off on Norwich City. I put them 7th. They finished 6th, of course. David Wagner, of course. Great season from him. But in the end, he's lost his job, of course. I completely forgot about that. Of course, losing to Leeds in the playoff semi-final, second leg, 4-0. and there really was night and day between the two sides. A man that's been promoted with Huddersfield Town before. I feel like we've said that a few times in this video referencing Huddersfield Town, but of course couldn't quite do it with the Canaries. They had to improve off last season. They did. But for me, I'm very happy with the prediction, and that's as far as it goes. Next season, though, you'd expect Norwich to be in a very similar position. New manager incoming now, so a bit of a rebuild potentially. They have that excuse, but realistically, they should be at least in the top half again, Norwich. For a club of their calibre, and in recent years, the yo-yoing between the Prem and the Championship, they have to be up there again. But on the prediction, I'm very happy on that one. Sixth place, I went for Southampton, and looking around on everyone else's predictions at the start of the season, I think I was probably one of the only ones to put Southampton this low down the table. Looking at their squad at the start of the season, it was obvious they were going to sell quite a lot of their big players, and in the end, of course, winning the playoffs. They went 25 games unbeaten under Russell Martin, the longest in the club's history, and I think it's one of the longest unbeaten runs in Championship history as well. Of course, ending the season in fourth. There was times in the season where they were first, they were second, they were third. In the end, though, they finished fourth, and on the prediction, only 2 off. I'm very happy on it. I was quite confident Southampton would finish inside the playoffs. I just didn't think they'd have as good a season as they have. And I think that's credit to Russell Martin doing even better than how highly I rate him at the moment. What a manager. And next season in the Premier League, Southampton. Big challenge for him, for them and Russell Martin, sorry. Fifth place, I backed Coventry to get another playoff campaign in back-to-back seasons. This year it wasn't to be, though, of course, missing out to Luton Town in the final last year. This one, I predict them fifth. They finished 9th in the Championship. They had a nice FA Cup run towards the end. And in the end, I do think that's what sort of killed off their playoff hopes. I think that they would in the FA Cup, potentially a lot more focus on the league. And then less fatigue, obviously, on the players, a knock-on effect. But I don't really think Coventry will mind too much. They seem to be visiting Wembley quite a lot these days. And next season, no doubt they'll be right back up there. Last year in the summer was a summer of change with the likes of Victor Gyökeres leaving, of course, and Gustavo Hamer, 2 big outgoings. So they had a lot of money to spend. They spent it really well. So they've had a season to gel now. They've looked really good at times. And next year now, I think the pressure really is on Coventry. And I wouldn't be too surprised if they challenge for the top 2 spaces. I think Coventry are only 1 or 2 seasons away from reaching the Premier League. Only 4 points off on this prediction. Very happy with that as well. I'll take it as a good prediction, that one. In 4th place then, I put Millwall. And yeah, along with the Ipswich one, this is probably one of the worst predictions. You look at the Preston one, that was 9 places out. The Ipswich one, 16. A few 8s in there as well. And then Millwall 9. It wasn't good at all. But they did rescue it towards the end of the season, bringing Neil Harris in, finishing 13th. Not bad at all. I thought the job Gary Rowett was doing, Millwall always seemed to just miss out on the playoffs. I thought this time they would do it comfortably. No, they wouldn't. The one season I predict Millwall to really do well, they don't. But, you know, there is potential in that squad. I think now the process is slowed down a lot more. I can't really see a long-term vision for Millwall progressing that high up the Championship under Neil Harris. Hopefully he can prove me wrong for the for Millwall's point of view, sorry. But in this one, a really poor prediction. Really poor. But, of course, off the field things happen. And next season now, have to wait and see where Millwall can go. In 3rd place, I went for Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough. And I was 5 out. So in the end, not miles away. Slow start to the season from Middlesbrough. But they proved their quality throughout the season. Of course, they beat the likes of Leicester this season. And towards the end of the year, they put together a brilliant streak of results. And going into next year, once again, I do feel like Middlesbrough should be up there. Whether they will or will not is another question. They're a massive club, though, and great fans as well. So for me, next season, Middlesbrough should be up there again, maybe even 3rd. But coming off last season's great finish, of course, defeating the playoffs, Middlesbrough, I thought they would continue it again. They've had a season now to sort of calm down. Of course, the likes of Cameron Archer on loan and many others who they had on loan last year, the likes of Ryan Giles as well, didn't come back this year, of course. So obviously they were going to decline. I didn't really take that into account too much in my predictions. But overall, only 5 out on Middlesbrough, and I'm not too unhappy with that one, but definitely should have done better. But Middlesbrough next season, I do feel like the pressure and expectation is piling on them and Michael Carrick. Great manager though, and he's doing really well with his career, sticking by Middlesbrough in the Championship, you know, not rushing his career. Really, really good for both him and Middlesbrough. In second place at the start of the season, I feel like this was quite a popular one. Leeds United, a lot of people put them first. I went second. I really did think they were going to get second. Towards the end of the season, though, it became clear that Ipswich Town were going to get that spot. And I'm not too angry on this prediction, of course. Only 1 out, and Leeds United had a great, great season. It's just we had 2 better sides in the Championship this season than Leeds United, which is crazy to think because Leeds, of course, broke the 90 points margin. So 1 out on this one, can't be angry. Leeds lost in the playoff final. They'll be in the Championship next season, and they would be favourites probably to win the league if it wasn't for reports suggesting they have to sell up to 100 million, raise 100 million pound in player sales in the summer, which, if that's true, we'll find out very soon. But that could really, really affect Leeds going into next season, of course, and be interesting to see what they can spend in the window and who they can bring in. But for Leeds, it wasn't a bad season at all. You know, you can't really look at that playoff final defeat and think, oh, it's a bad season because they haven't gone straight back up. It's been a great, great season. It's just they haven't been able to secure promotion in the playoff final, which, you know, it's not an easy thing to do. So for Leeds, great season. And for me, I take it as a great prediction. Only 1 off there. Top of the tree then, I went for Leicester. It was Leicester. I don't think many people went for Leicester at the start of the season. I thought Leeds and Southampton were the popular picks. But I went for Leicester, and Enzo Maresca and his men proved me right. I thought the squads at the start of the season was night and day between any other squad in the Championship. They had resources not many other clubs had. And I thought, you know, Leicester were far and away the best side. They were for a lot of the Championship campaign as well. They did sort of slip off towards the end, though. Made it very interesting. But in the end, you know, you get promoted and they win the league. Great for my predictions and great for Leicester. Going into next season, though, rumours that they're going to be having a potential points deduction in the Premier League, which is awful to see for a newly promoted club as well. It's hard enough nowadays to try to survive in the Premier League, let alone with a points deduction. And with on top of that, apparently Enzo Maresca will become the new Chelsea boss. So it's all going downhill for Leicester after a great season in the end. But yeah, another spot on prediction. That's 3 spot on predictions this season from the Championship. Overall then, if we add all of the points up together, of course it's like a game of golf. You want to get the lowest points possible. I got 106, which, comparing with a lot of other content creators who do this type of content on their channels, it's not awful. It's just could have been a lot better this season. I look at my Ipswich prediction as an obvious one. That has to be better. I went really bold with Millwall getting the playoffs as well. And apart from that, I don't think any of the other ones are that outlandish. I went really harsh on Preston as well. So the 3 worst ones really are Ipswich, Preston and Millwall. But the best ones, apart from the ones I get spot on, I'd say Southampton's a really good one. Norwich a good one as well. Bristol City, not many people had them in the top half at the start of the season. Watford, a lot of people had them all over the place. And actually, say my Cardiff one was pretty decent as well, along with Plymouth. A lot of people backed Plymouth to get, you know, some top half finish this season. So they're the ones I'm particularly happy with this season. Next season, have to do better. And if you compare them to now, the last 4 years I've done this type of video, this is the 5th year. So in the 1920 season, my predictions, 122 points and 2 correct. The 2021 season was my best to date, 85 points, 6 correct predictions. That's a quarter of the Championship table correct that year, which is mad. 21-22, 126 points, my worst ever, and 2 correct predictions. 22-23 season, 90 points, 4 correct, my second ever best, and this year going right in the middle, the 5th year doing it now, 23-24, 106 points, 3 correct. So we really are following it. Bad season, good season, bad season, good season. This was a bad season. I mean, the next year is going to be a good season on the form book, and hopefully can break that 85 points margin, which won't be easy to do, be little room for error, but this season has opened my eyes yet again. After every year you do these, you really do open your eyes to seeing, okay, the sort of trends some teams are producing, just like Stoke, just like Birmingham for all those years, and I back them. So the summer transfer window isn't everything, but it does have a bit of a say on some of the sides that you'd expect to finish high up in the league. Well then guys, that was me reacting to my 23-24 championship table predictions. If you did want to enjoy the video, smash like button and subscribe. A lot of decent predictions in there, dare I say it. A lot of absolute stinkers, which I never want to be reminded of ever again. But we have to do the video every year. I'll be back before the start of the season with more championship table predictions. We do them every year now. And next year will be the 6th year of doing them. So can I get a new record on my predictions? Will it be an awful season? With current form, Buck, it is continuing that it's bad, good, bad, good. So next year should be a good season. Fingers crossed. I'll see you all very soon for that video. Of course, the new championship season is just around the corner, but plenty more content coming your way on Goals Galore. Of course, the summer now with championship off the field, stuff happening with the transfers, fixture release dates, stuff with my team Swansea, of course, as well, and then the Euros as well. So much to look forward to. If you enjoyed, smash like and subscribe, and I'll see you in next and very soon, guys. Take care. Goodbye.